If it's okay, we're going to go by Apple time and not that clock on the wall. I have the time is approximately 1 p.m. The date is October 13, 2015. Chair will now call to order the meeting of the Public Records Commission. First item of business, approval of minutes from the June 23, 2015 meeting. Any changes? I'm looking at you. None. All right, do I have a motion for approval? Motion. Properly moved, properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no, and I'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Minutes are approved. Next, we have the consent agenda, which is a very healthy consent agenda, but also thoroughly vetted by staff. Do we have any objections, anything on consent agenda? Mr. Weeks?
Mr. Callahan, could you just explain for the record consent item number 2 and number 16, why we're keeping the 9 or 10-digit numbers for those instead of going to the 3, 4, or 5-digit numbers that are everywhere else?
We didn't change them within the. We can still look them up in the new system without all the zeros in front, but we did not change them. In the future, I can look at changing those RDA numbers, but we were keeping them with as they were to avoid any potential confusion with the agency. But if the commission would so like, I can look at changing that in the future and just go forward. And I'll actually look at it in a year. We're reviewing all the RDAs as they come up, so that might be the revision that we do.
Any further discussion? Chair would entertain a motion for approval. Properly moved, properly seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Consent agenda is approved. All right, item number 3, we have a few RDAs for discussion. Mr. Callahan?
Yes, sir. We have 12 RDAs with the Department of Human Resources that are on the regular agenda. Steve Brown, Director of Records Management for the Department of Human Resources, is present. They are grouped together. There's a few of them. If you don't mind, I'll go through them in those groupings.
Any objection? All right, please continue.
Okay. Item A is RDA 1605, Overtime Authorization Memo Records. So this is a request to retire an RDA. The record series is being retired and has no longer been generated or maintained since 2007. The retention period was 0 years and destroy. The reason why it is on the regular agenda is because in 2007 they ceased to keep this record series, but at the same time they created RDA 10214, which was to be an electronic record of it with a retention period of 75 years, but there was no electronic record ever kept, and the agency was following RDA 1605. So there really are no records. They were properly destroyed, paper records according to RDA 1605, but I did not want to retire that without bringing that to the attention of the Commission because of RDA 10214. So the request is to retire both of these RDAs.
Continue.
Okay. The next item is RDA 1280, Separated Employee Records for the Department of Human Resources. And the other 3 RDAs are being retired either partially or completely under this RDA as well. RDA 1280, Separated Employee Records, is a revision. The retention period will change from 150 years to 65 years. And as we have talked about, there was some confusion that it was believed that it was a 75-year retention period, but the way the old RDAs were written out, it actually was 75 years active, 75 years inactive. So 150 years was way longer than we need, and we do not have anything even close to that length of time. The reason that it's on the regular agenda is because the traditional retention period is 75 years for records such as this. In the last few years, federal government and other states have been dropping that to 65 years. So I had a discussion with Mr. Brown And we went back and forth, and he explained the reason why is that even with someone enters state service at the age of 18 and leaves within a year, these records are primarily pulled up when they're ready to retire, so somewhere between the ages of 62 and 67. And even if that goes up to 75, which we hope not, but if it goes up, we're looking at a retention period of 65 years, which would cover someone up until, at minimum, age of 83. If anyone ever comes back to state service, the clock starts from that later time period. So after going over that, I saw Mr. Brown's logic, and I agree to recommend that we go with a revision of 65 years. The other RDAs are 10046 that's being retired. That was the Application Information and Certification System. These records now fall under either RDA 1280, Separated Employee Records, RDA SW, statewide SW19, Active Employee Files, or statewide 28, Applications Not Selected Candidates. But I did not want to put them on the consent agenda as we were going to have this discussion on RDA 1280. RDA 2836 is data capture, leave, and attendance, and this would now fall completely under RDA 1280, Separated Employee Records. And the last is RDA 10158, which is Separated Employee Files, and it was the electronic duplicate of RDA 1280. So once again, it's going to go under, and the new RDA entails whether it's electronic or film on there. If there's no questions, I'll proceed to...
My intent is we'll stop anytime there's questions, comments on any of these. Otherwise, I'm going to let you get all the way through the human resources related ones.
Okay, sir.
We'll have general discussion. If not, I'll be willing to entertain a motion to take them up as a whole.
Okay, sir. RDA 10209 is a request to retire the eligible list. The agency was asking to put these under statewide 17, and the discussion with Audit Division and Records Management and Library and Archives agreed that these actually are a better fit under either statewide 19, Active Employee Records, or statewide 28, applicants not selected. That way it has a 5-year retention period and not a 1-year, which would be if it was just a working paper. So that's the recommendation, and that's what it falls under for 1449 as well, which was a certificate of eligibles, so that it stays with the appropriate employees' items. RDA 10048 is training and information system data for continuing education units. Originally, this had been slated to be retired. During the process, Mr. Brown looked at it and said, no, we're still doing this. We do not want to retire it. So we had to change it. And so recommending that the RDA be approved, but with the following changes. The retention period will remain 10 years, but the disposition notes will reflect that it's cut off at the end of each calendar year after the data has been utilized to create transcripts, kept in agency for 10 years, and then but they may be transferred to State Record Center as needed, and then destroyed by state-approved method at the end of the retention period. It will have state audit. It is an essential record, and it gives the information on where it will be stored, and then that it will be destroyed after the retention ends. RDA 11121 are sick leave bank records for deceased employees. So there was a RDA for this, and it was RDA 3033, and that was on the consent agenda. The issues that had come up is that the disposition on that one was upon, the cutoff was after the state determines that an employee has passed. Well, if an employee has separated, you're very often not going to know, and no one's going to inform you. So that was changed to reflect 50 years, and so it's covered, it's good. RDA 11121 is there so that for deceased employees, we now have a specific RDA that will be 5 years. The agency originally wanted it to be 1 year, but upon discussion, they agreed that because to meet audit requirements, that 5 years is suitable. And then RDA 11128 is the record series is Strategic Learning Solutions, Division, Training, Course, Cover Sheets, and Rosters. This RDA is a request for a new RDA, and they originally requested 0 years. What I want to compliment Department of Human Resources and Steve for is they discovered these records that they had it, and they did not have an RDA for it. But they did the correct thing. They did not just go, oh, we don't do these anymore, we haven't kept. They went through the process, and we've created an RDA so that they can legally destroy them. They're all older than records have not been generated since 2009. So, but instead of having it at 0 years, what this would have been would be a 5-year retention period. So, after talking with Steve, he agreed, yeah, we should have it as 5 years so that it meets the audit requirements. But once again, they will be destroying those records because they are past 5 years old, but they did want to make sure they did it according to the requirements of the law. And that is the Department of Human Resources items.
Any questions, comments? We have Mr. Brown in the audience. Anything to add? Okay. Well, Chair would entertain a motion for approval for items 3A through F. Properly moved, properly second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, when I take a vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Items are approved. Now let's look at G, H, and I, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
Okay. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has 3 RDAs. These are all having to do with the incident-based reporting system. 11064 is incident report offense. 11065 is incident report victim. And 11066 is incident report offense on to do with the date and time of the crime. So these are all RDAs that there was a discussion between the Comptroller's Audit Division and then the Bureau, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation on whether or not there was an auditable if Comptroller's Office. They have worked that out, and on all of these, the information has been included in the abstract. That in order to comply with the Federal Bureau of Investigation security policy, state auditors will have a criminal background check performed and complete any security awareness training required by such policy in order to review the records covered by this RDA for audit purposes. And records management and library and archives worked with TBI's records officers. We updated all the other information that they needed so that the RDA was completed with all the information required. And we do have Barbara Consolini, the TBI's records officer, is present as well. So on all of these, they updated the information as requested by audit. They put in the appropriate things I asked for, and they met with the request from records management to complete certain items that were missed on the first go-through.
Right. Any discussion, questions? All right, Chair would entertain a motion to approve items 3G through H. 3G, H, and I, excuse me. Properly moved, properly seconded. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Items are approved. All right. Thank you very much. Next item is records management update, which can be found in your notebook under records management update.
Yes.
Fire away, Mr. Callahan.
Yeah, you got me on that one there. Okay. As of this year, we continue to meet with TSLA Audit and General Services to review RDAs that are submitted. We do that weekly. And with the RDAs approved today, we have created, revised, or retired almost 50% of the total we began with. We currently have 1,785, and now we are at 831 that the PRC has taken action on in the last year and a half to 2 years. This year, with today's items, we will have taken action on 410 this year, so in 3 meetings. So appreciate that. The records management best practices and procedures. The manual is completed and already posted on our website and as a reference document, and we will also email it to all records officers so they may disseminate it to the coordinators and other interested parties in their agencies. The document covers the core areas of records management, includes a glossary and appendices of important forms. There's 11 chapters, and besides the glossary and appendices. In trainings and meetings, we have conducted 13 training sessions, town halls, or workshops this year with 176 attendees. Records management staff members have conducted 279 agency visits in 2015, and we continue to provide next-day deliveries to agencies every business day of the year. This year, we only had to suspend deliveries 3 days due to inclement weather, to which I give a lot of praise to Glenn and Theron for the work they do in sometimes some very inhospitable weather, and they're very careful with their and as they do that. Records holding report. Agencies completed the records holding report between July and October. Overall, there was a decrease of 12.83%, reducing the volume from 519,000 cubic feet to 453,000 cubic feet. Agencies leading in the destruction were Department of Transportation, Department of Human Resources, Department of Corrections, and the Department of Intellectual Developmental Disabilities. Those agencies took, as you've seen, between doing their RDAs, bringing them up to date, or doing full assessments within and improving their training, have been able to reduce, destroy accordingly, and also even determine whether or not they had a bunch of empty file cabinets and if they could then consolidate, thus saving the state resources. At the State Record Center, in the last 6 months, we've had 5 agencies conduct large record transfers to the State Record Center at Richards & Richards. Department of Children's Services, Health Department's Vital Records Division, Attorney General's Office, Bureau of TennCare, and Department of Economic and Community Development. We've seen over 15,000 boxes moved to the State Record Center. And once again, this allows those agencies to significantly reduce their footprint and put their resources to better use. And finally, and because of all these things that we've been able to do, I think one of the most important things is to give credit to our staff. But we've had some changes over the last 4 months, and I want to introduce our team. Right now, Sharon Groves is our Administrative Services Manager.
Stand up. Everybody.
Yeah, you got to wave. So anything with warehouse or operations, she works with them and communicates between Richards & Richards and the state agencies. And then Heather Allen and Lauren Cecil are our 2 new analysts. And they joined Jasmine Taylor, who we should also make stand up, even though she's been here for 2 years. Oh, well, she never listens. And but they do a great job, and we would not accomplish what we do without their hard work. And so I really appreciate all that they do. That's it, sir.
All right. Well, we're fortunate in your division that though we had some people unexpectedly leave, but we're happy for them and the next chapters of their lives that we could hire good people to come behind them. So I applaud the work y'all been doing. You know, this is real money to the departments and agencies whenever we are storing less and at Richards & Richards, and also storing less in places throughout state government. And I'm trying to remember, help me, I think it was it 2 or 3 months billing that we...
It was 3.
So just so y'all know, they've done a really good job of managing their budget and records management to the point where we sent a notice to all departments and agencies throughout state government that we were not going to bill for the last quarter of the year. So that's money back in the budgets of the departments and agencies throughout state government. Anything else you want to add? Any questions from anybody? right. So do we have any members of the public that would like to address the Public Records Commission? Sing a song? I'm going to call on somebody. No. All right. I'll entertain. Do you have anything?
I do.
Mr. Bray?
I see Mary Griffin with Treasury Legal out there, and just wanted to acknowledge her hard work for Treasury, getting our RDAs in shape. And I'm not sure what she did, but the treasurer had her out at the Richards and Richards over the summer, probably the hottest part of the summer, with some interns and trying to do some
They're excited about it.
trying to do some due diligence out there and reduce our footprint out at Richards and Richards, and we really appreciate that. I don't know, Mary, if you want to come up and tell about your experience out there, that'd be good.
Well, Kevin, I think you'd like to recognize the
Yeah,
Department of Treasury.
the Department of Treasury and Mary and her team get the credit, but they went out there and they are the first agency to completely inventory all records that they have at Richards and Richards. So very good job.
The treasurer would say a great reward awaits you in heaven. So, Ms. Griffin, do you have anything you wanted to add? All right. Thank you. Any further comments? All right. Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. Properly moved, properly seconded. Without debate, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.